All right, YouTube. Today we're going to be doing the front differential and the rear differential on a 1983 K10, Chevy K10. So we're going to take the cover off and we're going to clean it, since I don't know when that was done last. So that's the first step. We're gonna pull that cover off. Okay, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a drain pan. It sits kind of low, so I was gonna put a bucket, but bucket won't fit. So you need a drain pan. You're gonna need a 1/2 inch impact, or 13 millimeter. 13 millimeter and a 1/2 inch are the same size. A little bit of an extension so you can get in there. And you're gonna need a impact wrench. And we'll just take them off and let it drain out. Then we're going to take the cover off, clean the inside of it, put it back on with some silicone, and then we're going to fill it up. The fill port is right. Let me see if we can get it. Come on, right there. That's the fill port. All right, so we're gonna drain this thing right now. Okay, so what you do is you remove all the bolts, and then you're gonna need a pry bar. And I thought I could do it with the rubber mallet, but whoever was in here before me put a shitload of silicone in there. So I had to use a regular mallet, a steel mallet. And I went in from over here, right here, along the axle on both sides, and you just hammer it in, and then you pry till you pop the silicone. And I'm letting it drain. Leave one bolt in just to let it hang there and drain out. And then once it's all drained, then I'm going to remove it, clean out the inside, scrape off all the silicone on both faces, clean both faces completely, and then reseal it. Okay, so that's where we are. Okay, so here's the cover, the rear differential cover. As you can see, there's a lot of silicone around the outside. I'm going to take a wire wheel to that. I've already cleaned up the inside. I wiped it down with paper towels, and then I sprayed it with brake clean. Cleaned it all up, acetone, cleaned it all up. I'm scraping off, I'm using a chisel, and I'm scraping off this bead, and then I'm going to take a wire wheel and get the rest of this crap off. Okay, and that's how we're going to do it. And then this is good deal. There's a magnet in here, and I've already cleaned it off, but it had very little. It's got some shavings on it, but nothing crazy. Okay, so that's where we are. Okay, before I go any further, so I'm using this wire wheel. So this is cleaned with the wire wheel. This is the way it looked like before I cleaned it all off. I wanted to show you before and after, halfway. Cleaned. Okay, it's the cover, fully cleaned. Now we're gonna do the actual differential. So this looks like a brand new cover on the inside almost. Okay, so now the case on the differential on the axle has been cleaned. Same process, just take your wire wheel and just go around it and clean it. And then make sure you use spray clean and spray out all the debris that might go in there while you're cleaning it. I sprayed it out. You can see everything's been cleaned. The ring gear and everything's, I sprayed in there and inside the body. Okay, so now we're ready to put it back together again and fill it with oil. Okay, so we put a nice bead of silicone. You make a little O-rings around the bolts so that there's no leaks. And then we're gonna put this back up on the differential. And let it sit for about an hour, and then we'll put oil into it, gear oil. Someone had siliconed the fill plug like crazy, and I had to use my impact wrench rather, on high setting to get it out. This thing was completely caked in silicone. So it's out. It's 3/8. You just use the head of the ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, okay? I put a little Teflon on there because I'm assuming they siliconed it because it was leaking. So I put 2.5 turns of silicone, or rather Teflon tape, when I put it back in. Now we're using 80 weight 90 gear oil, 80 weight 90, and you got to make yourself, you take one of the heads and cut the tip, you know, these heads right here, you cut the tip, and you put yourself a clear hose on it so you can see that the fluid's going in, and you're gonna have to squeeze the fluid in, and you're gonna keep going till you get that drain plug, or rather that fill plug, starts weeping. Once it starts weeping, that's enough. All right, I'm gonna fill it up now. All right, so it is back on, it is clean, and it is filled. We've got 2.5 quarts of 80 weight 90 gear oil in there. As you can see, we are not leaking at all. We'll let it cure for about 45 minutes or so. Let the silicone cure, and then we tightened all the lug nuts, or rather the lug nuts, the differential bolts go down to 30 foot-pounds. So what I did was I went around, starting at the top, I went around once, then I went around twice and made sure everything was to 30, and then I filled it up, and we have the fill plug is nice and clean, and we have the Teflon tape around it. No leaks, as you can see. So that's everything. That's the rear. The rear differential is done. Now I'm doing the front. The front is also 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter. I have them loosened or removed so far, and I can't get the cover off because it's siliconed on so tight. So I'm working on that right now. Well, the front differential is an amazing shape. Look at this case. I just pulled it off. I didn't do anything to it. This is the inside of the case. It had a gasket on it, and the gasket is almost fully intact. I've got to scrape it off, and then I'll have to clean the actual front differential. But I mean, it is clean. It means they haven't used it at all. So that's good to see that it hasn't been used. So that means the gears are going to be in good shape. So that's what we're starting with. I'm going to clean this, clean all the gasket off, and prep it for silicone. Okay, so here's the cover, fully cleaned. There's a few little spots where I couldn't get the stuff out. I mean, I'd have to work on it really hard. But for the most part, it's clean. It's going to make a good seal. Both sides. I cleaned this side up a little bit also. So, ready for silicone. Okay, silicone is made. Remember to make the double ring around where the bolts go in, and then put a nice thick bead all the way around. Okay, I'm going to clean up the case on the axle, and then we're going to install this. Okay, so now the differential case is cleaned up completely, and it's ready for install. Now I'm going to put the cover back on and cinch it up and let it cure for a little bit, and then cinch it all the way down to 30 foot-pounds. Final step, differential is on, front diff, bolts are all to 30 foot-pounds, filled up with took 2.5. So it's almost 5 quarts between the both of them. And I put Teflon tape on the fill plug. You can see we have no leaks. Nice seal all the way around. And that's it, front and rear differentials. Mike Machine's out.